What should we call our show? SHOT Show Preview, SHOT Show Live, SHOT Show... The SHOT Show Live sounds like it should be like us at SHOT Show.
At SHOT Show, yeah. SHOT Show pre-live?
The SHOT Show Live pre-show. I don't know. Well, what's up guys? This is Chris with Hi-Lux Optics.
And this is Scott with also Hi-Lux Optics.
And in this video, this is the second edition of our SHOT Show preview, and we'll be showing you our Malcolm 6-power short with the two-tone finish.
It's a little bit of a change from our previous model. These are both the 6-power versions, so they're pretty comparable in terms of size.
Mm-hmm. Exactly the same length, 18 inches long. This one is, I feel like this one might be a little lighter, just because the brass material is lighter. It should be lighter than steel, but it should be fairly close, around 18 ounces. There are a few big changes that we've made to this mount that's not apparent in this mount. So if you take a look at the rear mounts, you'll notice that our new 6-power short mount has a square type bracket. The old style mount, that circular bracket, if you used any windage adjustment and pushed it out of center, you're going to limit your elevation adjustment. Well, because of this design right here, since it's a square, no matter how much windage you use, you'll always have the same amount of elevation adjustment. Now, these turrets do not have clicks. As a result, on our old mount, when you were zeroing, you would have to constantly adjust the elevation and tighten it down and lock the turret in place, so when you shoot, the turret does not spin. Well, we've made a change in this one. We've added an O-ring to the lock ring. So now when you're zeroing, you don't need to necessarily tighten it down every single time in between shots. The O-ring will give you just enough resistance where the turret will not turn. So this greatly simplifies the zeroing process.
In terms of stability as well, I'd like to say, these older ones as well, the actual contact surface area on the dovetail base is probably twice as much in the newer ones.
Yeah, so we have increased the amount of surface area, so for a better fit on the mounts. The thumb screws securely lock up into that POSA cut, so you're not going to have any slippage here. Another change is made in the front mount. The front ring on their old 6-power scope is fixed, so the scope will not move. But a lot of people like to mount these on bigger rifles such as the 45-70 or 45-90. I know the Marlin 95 is a very popular option. So what we've done is we've added a sliding lock ring to the front. So this scope, every time you shoot, the scope will move forward. And you're gonna have to pull it back, reset it to battery before you shoot in order to return to zero.
If you guys have seen any of our preceding videos on the 8-power mount or the Unertl scope, that's actually almost exactly the same front mount, just a very short rail.
Yeah, it's very similar. Our 8-power scope, like the original Unertl scopes, have a Pope rib on top. So because this scope doesn't have a rib, we added that rail in a lock ring that goes with the front ring. So this way, if you don't mount it on like a 45-70, let's say you're shooting a 22, you don't have to necessarily use the lock ring. You could use it as is, like this configuration. But we added the lock ring as an additional measure of security.
So this rail that y'all are seeing here, this is actually a part of this locking ring. Mm-hmm. I know on some of these other older versions, the lock ring is purely a ring that goes around the tube. But here, the lock ring actually functions as the Pope rib rail. If you wanted to, you could remove this and remove the rail entirely and bring it into this classic style of configuration. Mm-hmm. Or keep the plunger, keep the Pope rib, keep the lock ring, and have just a little easier time shooting when you're using those higher calibers.
Just remember, if you are using the sliding lock ring, you need to pull the scope back to reset it to battery in order for your zero to stay the same. So other than those changes, the major change on this new two-tone obviously is the brass end caps. So a lot of people like the two-tone look on our 6-power long scope, and we decided to offer it in this shorter configuration. This would look great on like a Henry Big Boy, Henry Golden Boy, Marlin 1894, 1895.
Any of my rifles at home.
Any lever action rifle actually. Oh yeah, we've also changed the design of the thumbnuts. So these are using 1/2-inch thumbnuts that you can rotate by hand.
A big difference is these older thumb rings, you could simply unscrew them and they're going to come out. They don't have the set screw like in the Unertl mounts, the Lyman mounts, anything like that. These it's a little trickier to actually fully remove the thumb screw. If you want to do that, we really recommend you watch our 8-power mounting videos. It's going to have the same set screw configuration through the base.
But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove the turrets and the scope from the mount in order to access that set screw.
And once you've taken out that set screw, you're not going to be stripping the crossbolt whenever you try to back it out. As it is, it's built so that you only have to work the thumb nut with your fingers, finger tight, lock it into that posit cut, and you're done. If you want to actually change like your crossbolt, if you want to remove the thumb screw, change your limits on your tightening, that's when you're going to have to get into that set screw.
Yep, it's a fairly straightforward process. You can check out one of our videos up in the top right if you want to follow along. And if you guys are going to be at SHOT Show, we're going to be at booth 15441 and 15444 on the upper level. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button so you stay in the loop with all our latest developments. See you guys there.
Have fun.